Right, lack of recognition, yeah? You're busting your back, putting in all the hours, delivering results, and what do you get? A big fat nothing. Meanwhile, Steve from marketing gets a round of applause for printing a colour flyer. Cheers, Steve, really pushing the envelope there. But let's not make this about Steve, let's make this about you. So, you're here because frankly, you're fed up being the unsung hero of the office. You're basically Batman of the workplace, saving the day in the shadows while Steve gets to be Robin and somehow steals all the glory. Today, we're diving deep into why your hard work is being missed and what we can do to fix it. Because, mate, let's be honest, you're too good to be playing the role of invisible employee number 3 in the corporate drama. By the end of this, you'll be ready to step out of the shadows and into the spotlight where you belong. It's time to go from who's that to how did we ever survive without them? You with me? Let's crack on. Right, so what does it actually mean to lack recognition at work? Well, picture this, you're putting in the graft, delivering the goods, and still no one bats an eyelid. You're the office ninja, doing all the hard work, but completely invisible. Meanwhile, Steve, yes, Steve again, he sneezes in a meeting and they give him a medal. I mean, come on. So let's break it down, yeah? Here's what a lack of recognition looks like. You're doing the extra work, staying late, picking up the slack, and someone else is getting the credit. Classic. You're hitting every deadline, smashing every target, and your boss? Not even a nod. You've been in the same role for years while Susan from HR, who's been there for 5 minutes, is already climbing the corporate ladder. Yeah, that's recognition for you. Well, not for you. And then there's the meetings. Oh, the meetings. You share an idea, no one says a word. 5 minutes later, Steve's regurgitating your idea, but with slightly worse grammar, and suddenly it's brilliant. That, my friend, is what it means to lack recognition. It's frustrating, it's disheartening, and it makes you question why you're even trying. But don't worry, we're not going to stay stuck here, we're going to fix it. Because if anyone deserves to be recognised for their work, it's you. Let's keep going. Right, so you're wondering, why on earth does all my hard work seem to disappear while Steve gets praised for showing up on time? Well, mate, it's not because Steve's a superstar. There are a few reasons why you're stuck in the shadows, and none of them have anything to do with how good you are at your job. First up, office politics. You know the game. It's not always the best workers who get recognised. It's the ones who know how to make a bit of noise. The louder voices, the constant self-promoters. They're the ones who stand out. Meanwhile, you, quietly smashing it like an office ninja, but in the game of office politics, silence just gets you nowhere. Next, overloading managers. Now, let's be fair, your boss isn't deliberately ignoring your efforts. It's just they're juggling 1,000 things at once. Between back-to-back meetings, managing everyone else's dramas and making sure the office doesn't implode, they don't always notice your brilliance. You're falling between the cracks, mate. And then there's the infamous silent contributor syndrome. You're doing amazing work, no doubt about that, but you're doing it so quietly that no one even knows. You're delivering results without making a fuss. But here's the thing. In today's world, if no one knows what you're doing, it's like it never happened. And finally, we've got weak feedback loops. Some workplaces are just terrible at celebrating wins. There's no system in place to recognise achievements, and that's not your fault, but it sure makes you feel like your hard work is invisible, doesn't it? But don't worry, now you know why this is happening, we're going to tackle it, how to fix it, and are you ready? Because let's keep moving. Right, so we know why you're not getting the recognition you deserve, but here's where it really stings. A lack of recognition doesn't just bruise the ego, mate. It kills your career. And I'm not talking slow motion. I'm talking a silent, sneaky sabotage. When you're not seen, you're not valued. Simple as that. And you know what happens when people don't see your worth? Promotions, big projects, pay rises, all of those. They go to someone else. Someone with, let's face it, probably less talent than you, but who's been good at being seen. Meanwhile, you're in the background playing the unsung hero while your career is stuck in neutral. The longer you go unnoticed, the harder it gets to get back in the spotlight. People start to think, well, if they're not being recognised, maybe they're just average. Ouch, right? But that's the reality. The more invisible you are, the more your potential fades in the eyes of others. But it's not just about others. Over time, this lack of recognition can mess with your own motivation. You stop pushing this hard, stop putting in the extra effort because, well, what's the point? If no one's noticing anyway, why bother? And that, my friend, is the beginning of the downward spiral. But don't worry, you're not staying in this career's quicksand. We've got steps to take. And by the end of this, you're going to get noticed for all the right reasons. So let's keep going. All right, it's time to get practical. Step 1, speak up about your wins. Now, I know what you're thinking, John, I don't want to come across as arrogant or boastful. But here's the thing, mate, this isn't bragging. It's about making sure people actually know what you're doing. Look, if you're quietly delivering results expecting everyone to notice on their own, then you're going to be in for a very long wait. People are busy. They're focused on their own stuff. So if you want the recognition, you've got to make it easy for them to see your contributions. Now, this doesn't mean standing on your desk with a megaphone shouting, "Look at me." No. It's about being smart. Drop your boss a quick email when you finished a big project. Something simple like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know we've hit a deadline and I managed to solve that tricky issue with X." Boom, you've just highlighted your contribution without sounding like you're fishing for compliments. Or in team meetings when you've just made a solid impact, don't be afraid to say, "I'm really proud of how we managed to deliver on that project, especially the way I handled X, Y, and Z." It's not arrogance, it's just making sure people are aware of what you're bringing to the table. If you don't tell them, they won't know. Remember, mate, recognition doesn't always fall in your lap. You've got to claim it. Speak up, show your value, and you'll start getting noticed. You ready for the next step? Let's go. Now, let's get into step 2, and this is a big one. Build relationships with key decision makers. Yeah, I know, networking, the word alone makes people cringe. But hear me out. This isn't about schmoozing or becoming best mates with the boss. It's about making sure that the people who have the power to boost your career actually know who you are. Because here's the thing. Office politics, love it or hate it, is real. And the people who get ahead, then they're not always the best workers. They're the ones that are seen by the right people. If you're grinding away, but the decision makers don't know your name, well, you might as well be invisible. It's time to change that. So how do you do it? Well, you've got to start small. Be visible. It could be something as simple as contributing in meetings where key decision makers are present. You've got good ideas? Don't let them sit in your head or be whispered to a colleague who gets all the glory. Share them confidently and make sure that the right ears hear them. And let's not forget, get in the habit of checking in with these folks. I'm not saying hang around the office door like a puppy, but build a relationship, pop in with an update or ask for advice on something you're working on. People love giving advice and boom, you're on their radar without even having to try too hard. Bottom line, if you want to get noticed, the key decision makers need to know who you are. So start making those connections. Trust me, it's not as painful as it sounds, and it will pay off when they're the ones deciding who gets the next big project or promotion. So you ready for the next move? Let's crack on. All right, step 3, ask for feedback. Now, this one is a game changer. You're probably thinking, but John, I already know how I'm doing. Why do I need feedback? Well, here's why. If you're not getting recognised, you need to know why, and more importantly, how do you fix it? See, a lot of people, a lot of the time, don't get the recognition they deserve because they don't realise how they're being perceived. Maybe you're smashing it at work, but if your boss thinks you're coasting, or maybe you think you're doing great but no one's telling you how to level up, well, that's where you need the feedback. That's where it comes in. And I'm not talking about waiting for your annual performance review. Oh, no. If you're only getting feedback once a year, you're in trouble. You've got to be proactive. Make it a habit to ask for the feedback regularly. After a project, after a big presentation, whenever. It doesn't have to be formal either. Just a quick, "Hey, how did that go? Anything I can improve on?" It's simple but effective. But here's the kicker. Asking for feedback not only shows that you care about improving, but it also reminds people of your contributions. It's a sneaky way to keep your work on their radar without coming across like you're bragging, and that's just genius, right? So make feedback your best friend. Not only will it help you improve, but it'll also get people talking about the great work you're doing. And once they're talking, recognition follows. All right, let's move on to the next step because this one's a biggie as well. Now, step 4, take initiative on high visibility projects. This is the one where you stop waiting for recognition and go out there and grab it. You've got the skills, you've got the drive, but if you're stuck in the background, no one's going to notice. So what do? You step into the spotlight, mate. Look, if you've been doing the same task day in, day out with no recognition in sight, it's time to change the game. Stop waiting for someone to hand you the big, exciting projects and ask for them. Or better yet, create your own opportunities. Got a process that's broken? Pitch a way to fix it. See a gap that's been overlooked? Step in and fill it. You're not just solving problems, you're making yourself unmissable. Think of it like this. You're the one with the ideas, the solutions, the energy to make things happen. When you start taking on projects that have an impact, people start to notice. It's like a neon sign above your head saying, look at me, I'm the one that makes things happen around here. And trust me, the people in charge, they'll start seeing you as a mover and a shaker. Now I get it. It's easy to sit back and stay comfortable, but comfort never got anyone promoted. If you want to get recognised, you've got to take risks, take initiative and take on the projects that matter. That's how you start turning heads in the office. So go on, get in there, find those high visibility projects and make yourself known, because it's time for you to stand out. Right, this one might surprise you. Step 5, recognise others. Now you're probably thinking, hang on John, I'm the one who's not getting the recognition. Why am I focusing on other people? Well, here's the magic of it. Recognition is contagious. When you start appreciating and recognise the people around you, it creates a culture where recognition flows both ways. Picture this. You give a shout out to a colleague in a meeting or drop them a quick message like, hey man, great job on that project. Guess what? People start paying attention. Suddenly you're seen as someone who lifts others up. You're showing leadership. And more importantly, you're making people want to do the same for you. Think of it like this. If you start recognising other people's hard work, you create an environment where recognition becomes the norm. People start looking out for each other. And guess what? Your contributions won't go unnoticed either. You're creating an amazing team culture where wins get celebrated and not just Steve's flyer. And here's the best part. When you recognise others, it builds relationships, the kind of relationships that can help you climb the ladder. So get into the right conversations and finally get that recognition you've been waiting for. So start small, recognise your colleagues for their wins, celebrate their successes and watch how the spotlight turns back on you. It's all about building that positive momentum, mate. All right, we're almost there. Ready for the final push? Let's keep going. All right, mate, we've made it this far, so here's the final step. Make yourself unmissable. You've done the hard work, you've spoken up, you've built the key relationships and you've recognised others. But now it's time to really stand out and ensure your name is the one on everyone's lips. Because here's the truth. You can't sit around hoping people will finally notice you. You've got to make it impossible for them not to. You've got to be the one stepping up for the big projects, solving problems and making things happen. You're not just another employee, you're the one they need on their team. Think of it like this, you're a walking, talking headline. When people think of innovation, hard work and leadership in the office, your name should be the first thing that pops into their head. And how do you do that? By consistently delivering, owning your achievements and keeping yourself in the conversation. So, from now on, you don't just do your job, you do it in a way that gets you noticed. Every task is an opportunity to showcase what you bring to the table. Every meeting is a chance to leave your mark. You want people to say, how did we ever manage without them? That's the goal, mate. So let's make this the turning point. No more flying under the radar. It's time to be seen and heard and make yourself unmissable. All right, mate, now you've got the steps to make yourself unmissable, it's time to take action. You've got the skills, the drive and the potential, so why are you still waiting for someone to notice? You deserve to be seen, valued and promoted. So, if you're serious about getting the recognition you deserve, here's your next move. Head over to jondaniels.co.uk, and that's John without an H. You can sign up for my free career audit and get a personalised breakdown of what's holding you back. Or if you're ready to dive deeper, check out my masterclass, 3 Steps to Reboot Your Career, and start making moves. Don't let another year go by where your hard work is invisible. Take control of your career and let's get you noticed, promoted and moving forward. Your talent deserves the spotlight. Now's the time to step in. So head over to jondaniels.co.uk and let's get you the recognition you've been waiting for. Right, we've talked the talk, now it's time to walk the walk. You've got all the tools, all the tips to start getting noticed and getting the recognition you've worked so hard for. But here's the thing, nothing changes unless you make a move. So don't let another day go by where you're invisible. Head over to jondaniels.co.uk and take the first step to unlocking your potential. And that's whether it's a free career or order it, the masterclass or the Reboot Your Career Accelerator program. Everything you need to get unstuck and start thriving is right there waiting for you. Mate, it's time to get out of the shadows and move into the spotlight where you belong. Hit that link and let's get your career moving forward together. Remember, no one else is going to take control of your career. It's up to you, so let's get started.